Check one, two, check, check. right. Do I have a motion to return to open session?
Second.
Ms. Franklin and Dr. Roundtree, any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to certify closed session that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered?
Second.
Ms. Franklin and Dr. Gitry. Any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn? Yes. Ms. Franklin? Yes. Dr. Gitry?
Yes.
Ms. Harton?
Yes.
Ms. Crisell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to long-term suspend student A?
Second.
Ms. Franklin and Dr. Roundtree, any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
No.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Gitry?
Yes.
Ms. Harton?
Yes.
Ms. Crisell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
6 in favor, 1 opposed.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to expel student B?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Roundtree and Dr. Gitry, any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Gitry?
Yes.
Ms. Harton?
Yes.
Ms. Crisell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Thanks for your flexibility. We not only had to move our meeting date back a week, we had to move our location as well, because there's a lot going on in the government building these days. So I appreciate you all being here tonight. We'll start off with our MCPS mission and belief statements. Our student representatives tonight are Mallory Akers from Auburn High School and Marina Lee from Blacksburg High School. Will you please read our mission and belief statements?
Our mission at MCPS is an innovative educational community. We value diversity and we are committed to equity and inclusion. MCPS empowers learners to realize success in an ever-changing global society through collaboration with communities, families, staff, and students. MCPS provides a safe, engaging learning environment and intentional exposure to positive social, emotional, and academic experiences.
Our beliefs are all students can learn in order to pursue their dreams. Schools are safe places of joy, wonder, and creativity. Every person deserves to be loved, valued, and respected. Kindness is an essential skill of a responsible, productive community member. The diversity of our community is one of our greatest strengths. All people deserve equitable access to opportunities and resources. Every child deserves an advocate. Honoring the voices of students and other stakeholders strengthens the school community.
Open communication and feedback are vital to our growth. Learning and teaching are collective efforts that begin at birth and involve the entire community. Relationship building and high expectations are foundational to student success.
Okay, great. Thank you both. Our next item of business is the student representative reports. Mallory, do you have a report from Auburn High School?
I do. All right, so our cheer competition team is having regionals this Saturday at 5 p.m. Our golf team won states. A senior at our school, Drew Royal, is the champion for Class 1. Our Heritage Club was successful making their apple butter. The choir and band is working with Auburn Elementary and Auburn Middle School students for a pyramid concert where they just all come together and they just have a concert together. Our winter sports are beginning on November 7th. Volleyball is about to start their postseason, and if they win tonight, they are regular season championships for the district, and so far they only have one loss. Our drama club production this weekend is The Yellow Wallpaper. Our blood drive is October 30th. It's hosted by SGA. 34 Beta Club members were inducted. PTSO volleyball team and individual students have worked to provide relief for our flood victims, and that sums it up.
Okay, thank you so much. Marina, do you have a report from Blacksburg High School?
Yes. So the golf team won the state championship last Monday, and last Tuesday was our second club day of the year. We had a successful homecoming week with our students participating in theme days such as Adam Sandler Day and Pajama Day. We fell short to Christiansburg High School in the football game, but finished off the week with a great homecoming dance. Volleyball defeated Grayson and will wrap up their regular season this week. And then cross country headed to Pole Green Park in Hanover County to run last Saturday. And then some students went to NRCC last Wednesday for a careers and trade field trip. And at the end of the month, we have picture retakes, and BHS will hold a blood drive.
Great, thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is our employee budget presentations. Representatives from various employee groups will provide budget suggestions for the board to consider when developing their 2025-26 budget. First up, we have Robbie Jones representing our custodians.
Good evening, Chair Hudson, members of the board, Dr. Bragan, student representatives. I'm Robbie Jones. I'm the custodial manager here with Montgomery County Public Schools. I'm here. I'm glad we're doing this at this point in the process, but I'm here tonight to discuss some custodial needs we would like for you to consider. To begin with, I want to thank you for your continued support. The custodial department is committed to providing the best environment for each student and staff and all who enter. Please consider the following needs for the custodial department. Equipment. There is a great need for equipment. We do appreciate the equipment that has been purchased, and we want to let you know that the equipment that we do purchase does give the custodians opportunity to get more done in less time, so they're more productive. Also, the equipment that we get, we have to get industrialized equipment, so the lifespan is longer than the average vacuum cleaner. We do have someone that does repair it, but there are some things that are at the end of their lifespan. So we are going to asking you for equipment, funds for equipment. Also supplies. The supplies go up an average of 20% a year. And the supplies includes the normal chemicals that we use, also toilet paper, paper towels, hand soap, mops, brooms, dustpans, scraper blades, a little bit of this and that. So it's quite an extensive list if you look at everything that we have. Last year, the custodial department, there was a budgeted increase for 4 positions, and we thank you for that. I would like for you to consider 4 more positions this year. This will allow the proper staffing levels to be met and also to meet the growing needs with MCPS. Also, salary. Many custodians work multiple jobs to make ends meet, and I hope there is a goal of a 5% salary increase this year. And again, I want to thank you for your time. Have a great evening.
Okay, thank you so much. Our next up is Kim McGee, representing our bus aides, drivers, car van transports, and mechanics.
Good evening, Dr. Bragan, board members. And I got married last year, so it's Kim Simpkins now. Anyway, I'm representing transportation, which is our bus drivers, bus aides, and the garage staff. And at this time, I'd like to thank you all for the new buses that we received for our department and the new vehicles that were received for our department and other departments as well. Also, we want to thank you for the raise that we received and the very affordable Delta dental insurance that was made available for those that wanted it. Transportation would also ask that you please continue to keep us on the bus replacement schedule, and if at all possible, to make health insurance available for all of our drivers and aides. Thank you. Good.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Next up is Laura Gozinski, representing our interpreters, occupational therapists, physical therapists, psychologists, BCBA in speech.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board and Dr. Bregan, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Laura Gorzicki, and I'm the lead speech language pathologist for MCPS. I represent speech, occupational, and physical therapists, as well as the psychologists, BCBAs, and the interpreters. When I started with the district 5 years ago, we had 8 SLPs working for the district, and all of us were direct employees of MCPS. At this time, we have 10 district SLP positions needed to cover the speech and language needs of the district, and only 3 of the current SLPs are district hires. In addition, we have an SLP assistant that is hired by the district. The remaining therapists are contracted for 4 virtual and 3 part-time in-person SLPs. Over the past 4 years, we have lost 13 speech pathologists to other higher-paying positions in the area. We have not been able to hire any new speech SLPs this year. This is not only a problem with speech therapy, but occupational, physical, and music therapies, as well as school psychologists, behavior specialists, and hearing specialists. Having so many contract employees, most of whom are virtual, increases our workload. We have to train new contract employees each year, sometimes several times a year, taking up significant amount of time away from our students. Because virtual therapists are not able to work with all students, we have on average higher caseloads with more intensive needs as district employees, and we are expected to pick up the slack, leaving us with less time for the students. Not having support staff in the building that are familiar with the students and the process has increased stress and workload on the school staff, other support staff, special education leads, and teachers, and the high turnover of therapists each year and the time required to replace them. We lose therapy time with students, affecting the school with contract therapists disproportionately. At this time, our first-year therapists are paid less than any surrounding county with the exception of Floyd. This past year, the board approved a pay increase to bring the first-year salary closer to that of a teacher with a master's, as we are all required to have a master's degree as certified SLPs. But at this time, the first-year salary is still less than a teacher with a master's, and although the first-year salary increased, it decreased the raise in pay for the next several years to make up the difference, thus eliminating any benefit to more experienced therapists or current employees. In addition, the district pays significantly higher pay per hour to the contract companies than they do to the district employees, which has a significant effect on morale. In order to provide students with access to a free and public education, hiring and retaining quality therapists, interpreters, BCPAs, and psychologists should be a priority. Using therapists hired through contract companies and virtual therapists should only be used as a last resort, not as a primary source of therapy and services as it is right now. The one-time retention bonus offered this year has been a step in the right direction, and we appreciate it, but unfortunately not enough to bridge the gap with neighboring districts and attract long-term invested district employees. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next up is Austin Ardron, representing nurses.
Hi, my name is Austin Ardron, and I am the lead nurse for the county. I'm here to tell you a little bit about what nurses do, as well as ask you for some money. So first, the money. I'm asking for about 7 cents per student-nurse interaction, okay? Now I'm gonna tell you about what nurses do. We have 22 of them in our school district, okay? We have a nurse in every single elementary, middle, and high school. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends a ratio of 750 students to 1 nurse. We're not quite there. A little bit of work to do, okay? The nurses are busy because of that. Some of the things they do, responding to critical injuries on the playground, concussions, seizures, Band-Aids, magic ice, right? But they also give out toothbrushes, soap, deodorant to kids who, they need it, right? They help them mend their jackets, right? They help them with their anxiety, their stress. They do a lot. They help develop positive interactions with these kids and the adults in the buildings, with their peers. It's different every day for every kid, but I can tell you every interaction is special to that kid and to that nurse. Last year, there were more than 86,000 visits to the nurse, nurturing, caring, a safe space. They can ask a guy nurse for feminine products. That's developed, right? We have over 100 homeless kids in Montgomery County. And yes, we have state funding that helps with that. But those daily visits, they also go to the nurse, right? They also go to those ones behind me. And the nurses play a big role in the day-to-day responsibilities of the low social economic classes and the kids who need their help. Toothbrushes, a coat, underwear, leggings, right? 7 cents per kid, about $6,000 for the 86,000 times a kid sees a nurse. Thank you all for your time.
Great, thank you. The next up is Mindy Stanley, representing administrative assistants, bookkeepers, HR payroll specialists.
Good evening, Dr. Bragan and school board members. My name is Mindy Stanley, and I represent administrative assistants, bookkeepers, human resource specialists, and payroll and benefits specialists. I would like to thank the school board for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight on behalf of my employee group. I would like to thank the school board and Dr. Bragan for the addition of dental insurance at no cost to eligible employees and their families, as well as no increase to our health insurance premiums. I would also like to thank the school board and Dr. Bragan for moving forward with the semi-monthly pay for all employees. This change will improve cash flow management, better budgeting, and reduce financial stress on many. I just recently accepted the finance administrative position, and in my previous position as a payroll and benefits specialist, I have seen the tremendous efforts from everyone involved to make this transition possible. It is truly an honor to work with such great people. Administrative assistants in all areas of the district have tremendous responsibility. The roles and responsibilities of an administrative assistant in the district vary drastically. On average, the workload for administrative assistants has increased over the last few years. Some report to one director, while others may report to 2 or more. Several administrative assistants handle bookkeeping responsibilities, but do not hold the bookkeeper job classification. The responsibilities I have as an administrative assistant in finance do not compare to the responsibilities of the administrative assistant to the director of facilities, for instance. In addition, an elementary bookkeeper and a secondary bookkeeper responsibilities do not compare as well. There is a wide range of varying roles and responsibilities, but all administrative assistants and bookkeepers are placed in only one of 2 pay bands. Our group would request roles and responsibilities be looked at and considered a realignment of positions and pay. Cost of living wages are at $7.15 per hour, while administrative assistants' beginning hourly wage is at $15 per hour. We appreciate all the consideration for salary increases from the school board each year. We realize that payroll is the largest cost to the district and tough decisions have to be made. Thank you for all you do for the students, staff, and faculty of MCPS. I know you will do the best with the money that you get from the Board of Supervisors and the state. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up is Mike Hall, representing Purchasing and Warehouse.
Good evening, Dr. Bragan, members of the board. I'm representing the warehouse. I would like to start off by saying thank you for everything that's been done over the last year. I've seen the new vehicles around. That's a big help. I think we're really moving in a positive direction on that note. One of the things that I've come to ask for this evening is we need to purchase some new risers. Risers are the portable stages which we transport to the elementary schools and different schools for their programs. We currently have 14. We are getting larger requests for these risers. We have already had one school request 10. As their holiday programs are coming forward, we're going to be scrambling to try and move the risers from different schools to meet all of the different needs. I guess the programs are becoming larger, so they're requesting more, and we're going to have difficulty filling that. So it may be a situation where we can only provide so many on a certain night. The risers range in cost from $2,000 to $3,000, depending on the options at which they provide, but I think an addition of maybe 10 risers would probably solve the problem. And that way, I don't think that's something we've had. The risers we have are well-aged. They've been within the district for a long period of time. So I think that might be something that's worth looking at. Again, thank you for everything that you do, and we appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next up is Katie Seidemann, representing our teachers.
Good evening, Chair Hudson, members of the board, and Dr. Bragan. My name is Katie Seidemann, and I am the president of the Montgomery County Education Association. Thank you for inviting me to speak tonight. Before I make my presentation, I'd like to thank my colleagues for their work and their previous words this evening. I ask that you listen to their needs and honor their requests as best you can. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of certified staff regarding the budget. A successful school division requires a strong team of professionals working together to achieve the best working and learning conditions possible. I have 5 budget-related areas that we believe are important to the continued success of MCPS. The first being salary. The MCEA fully supports a salary increase for all employees. This enhancement will allow MCPS to be competitive when it comes to attracting and retaining highly qualified employees. This does not only apply to certified staff, but competitive pay will also benefit our various classified staff when compared to the private sector. As you are well aware, inflation continues to be a major problem. Many of our employees are single-income households with massive amounts of student loan debt. When the cost of basic goods and services increase, it can in turn cause financial stress if salaries remain stagnant. We need at least a 5% raise to counteract increasing inflation. However, it is not the only reason that 5% is reasonable. MCPS employees have gone and continue to go above and beyond the call of duty. Not only have educators adapted to the current and previous educational environments, but they have done it with professionalism, enthusiasm, and care for students. Ensuring a living wage for our employees can make the difference between remaining an MCPS employee and not. Our employees are working professionals, and they deserve to be paid like it. A strong budget is a people-first budget. We ask that you honor the proposed 5% salary increase for all employees. The second is health insurance. Once again, we are requesting no increase in healthcare costs for the upcoming school year. We are thankful to Dr. Bragan and his office for working to keep benefit costs the same by coming up with creative and manageable solutions. We are also grateful for the new benefits and decreased costs related to the switch to Delta Dental. We ask that you keep front of mind that any increase in health costs will ultimately be a pay decrease for our hardworking employees. Health and safety. The health and safety of all students and employees is vital to our division's success. We ask that you always keep this in mind, especially when considering student behavior within the day. our employees are often asked to manage student behavior at the expense of their own mental and even physical health and well-being. We ask that funding continue to be considered to support and expand student services, including licensed counselors, SLPs, special education teachers, and especially special education aides. RIHIP. The MCEA supports the continued use of the RIHIP program in order to attract and retain high-quality substitutes. It is no secret that former teachers make the best substitutes. The MCEA supports giving retired educators the ability to maintain health insurance until they're 65 or Medicare eligible so that they can continue to support the students in our county. Lastly, I would like to thank the board and Dr. Bragan for the collaborative and productive negotiations and conversations related to collective bargaining. While there have been some continued growing pains related to the enforcement of our very first certified contract, we appreciate the collaborative efforts from both the board and central office administration in working towards solutions for all parties. The gains that we have made so far have been exciting and critical to the improved working conditions for our staff, which, as we know, are our students' learning conditions. We look forward to our upcoming negotiations for administrative and classified staff, as well as the continued collaboration in our CBA for certified staff. The MCEA is grateful to the MCPS administration and to the school board. We appreciate the hard work that you do every day, and we are thankful to be given this opportunity to speak on the budget. As professionals entrusted to teach generations of educated citizens, we ask that you continue to make a significant investment in our students and our staff members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Michelle Knotts representing nutrition.
Board Chair, board members, Dr. Bragan, student members, good evening. My name is Michelle Knotts. I'm the supervisor of school nutrition for Montgomery County, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up and represent my department. The considerations that I'm asking for you to look at as we go into the 25-26 school nutrition budget. We need to remain competitive in the food service workforce. We need to continue to attract qualified, committed food service professionals. As we increase programs for our students, such as all-in tutoring super snacks, second chance breakfast, expansion of cafeteria service lines, expansion of menu choices for our students, this increases the demand in the duties of our managers and our food service staff. May I ask the board for consideration of a 5% wage increase for all S&P staff members? Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Great, thank you. And lastly, Tara Almoni, our systems analyst in the technology department, couldn't be here tonight, but has prepared a statement for the board. We all have copies of that at our desk. Okay, I think that's everybody, right, Tosh? Great, all right. Our next agenda item is public address. We welcome the opportunity to hear from students, parents, employees, and community members about education matters in this community. As a reminder, the board sets aside 30 minutes to start our public address. We have the option to extend in 30-minute increments, which Ms. Osborne will remind us of. If there are additional speakers after 90 minutes, the board will continue with their business meeting and hold one additional 30-minute session at the end of the business meeting. The clock continues through applause and disruptions. The more disruptions there are, the fewer speakers we get to address the board. I will call each speaker up by name in the order that they signed up. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. The board does not respond to speakers during public address. Screens will show when the speaker has 30 seconds remaining, and when time is up, please state your name and the area of the county you live in. The first speaker is Michael Poff, followed by Daniel Rich. No Mr. Poff? Okay. Then next up is Daniel Rich, followed by Lindsay Rich.
Yep, thank y'all for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight, and I missed an opportunity to tell everybody else, but I'll tell you all and everyone else, I'm very appreciative of everybody who works for our public school system, for the investment you make in our kids and the other kids of our community. So, as many of you all know, I take issue with discrimination against my wife, but I also take issue with the way in which it was done, and that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. See, I have in my hand here the personnel report that was provided to you for the September 17th meeting, and I've highlighted in blue very clearly my wife, Lindsay Rich's name is on this personnel report. This was provided for your approval prior to entering in closed session. And I was able to obtain this through a FOIA request. And so just to talk about closed session really quick to make sure we're all on the same page, I totally understand the need to go into closed session to discuss personnel matters and that you may even be required to do so. Totally understand that you can't speak with the public at large about the discussions that take place in the closed session. But the Code of Virginia, the same code that you cite that allows you to enter into closed session to have those discussions, specifically states that you're not allowed to make a motion or pass a resolution except in open session. And the same code that you cite to certify your closed session specifically states that in no event may any public body take action on matters discussed in any closed meeting except in open session. So hopefully you see the issue. If you enter into closed session with a personnel report that has my wife's name on it, and then an action is taken in closed session to strike her name, an action that can only take the majority of the school board members, that constitutes a motion and a vote that took place in closed session. And so that's an issue. You know, if you're wanting to be transparent with the community, then, you know, we need to follow the law. So not only are we potentially going contrary to the law, but, you know, I believe a school board that has nothing to hide hides nothing. And then it also allows you, and several board members have done this, to point to the vote that did take place on the personnel report that was approved as business as usual, because 6 of you all voted in favor of that. Only Penny did not. And so we say business as usual, you know, no discrimination, because members of all viewpoints voted on that. But the action had already been taken. The vote had already been held. So that vote that you point to has nothing to do, and that's pretty deceptive, I think. So if you want to build trust with the community, you know, be transparent and try not to be so deceptive. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Next up is Lindsay Rich, followed by Tara Vance.
Good evening. I'd like to start off by thanking all of you board members and all MCPS employees for investing in my children. I truly do appreciate all that you all do. You know, everywhere I go now, people recognize me and want to talk to me. And these are some of the comments I'm hearing from our MCPS community. I don't know if I want to work for this school system. I'm not allowed to have an opinion on anything. This is my last year. I want you to know that there are more people cheering you on than you realize. I can't take it anymore. I agree with you, but I have to stay quiet because of my job. Retirement is looming. Thank you for standing up for all of us. People wouldn't like me if they knew where I stood. I don't want a target on my back with the board. After hearing these comments, you must consider, is MCPS a healthy work environment? Aren't you wondering why we are losing some of our best teachers and coaches? Furthermore, why is our enrollment down despite the growth of our county? Have you studied our numbers and stats? Numbers don't lie. I'm married to a numbers guy. I personally still have no answers on why I was denied as a sub when we have a dire need. I have emailed, I have stayed late after the closed sessions, and given you all every opportunity to make things right and offer an explanation. I ask again, why is a local mother of 5 not qualified to serve as a sub in her children's schools? Why are you holding me to different standards than other MCPS employees? I have reviewed the policies, and there is no MCPS policy stating that you cannot speak to me privately. I find this very disrespectful. I wouldn't treat my kids this way. They are always allowed to ask me why. These semantics are slowly destroying our school system and community. You are being deceptive and vague and not living according to your own motto and DEI program. The hypocrisy here is obvious to all. The MCPS beliefs state that honoring the voices of students and other stakeholders strengthen our school community. Open communication and feedback are vital to our growth. Learning and teaching are collective efforts that begin at birth and involve our entire community. That includes conservative Christian moms like me. Board members, when will there be room for all in MCPS? When will you add my name back to that personnel report? I leave you with my favorite MCPS core belief: the diversity of our community is one of our greatest strengths. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tara Vance, followed by Bob Beard.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Hudson, members of the board, Dr. Bragan, and student representatives. My name is Tara Vance. I live in Pilot. I have a daughter who graduated from Auburn High School, and I have a son who currently attends Auburn High School. I am here tonight for two reasons. One is to support my friend Lindsay Rich. I have to say I was completely shocked when I found out that her name had been removed from the student-teacher list. I don't understand that. I don't understand why she was the only one that was removed. Lindsay is a good person. She's trustworthy. She's a good friend. She's a good mother to her 5 children. So that really surprised me. The second reason I'm here is in reviewing the minutes from the past meetings, I was extremely concerned to find out that we have some students who sometimes don't have a teacher at all. I was really shocked, and that is very concerning to me. As a former student at Christiansburg High School myself, I know that it doesn't take a very long time before students who don't have a teacher become unruly, vulgar, disrespectful to each other, and in many instances verbally and physically abusive to each other. So I would definitely like to hear from the Montgomery County administrators and Dr. Bragan on how you're handling these instances where substitute teachers are not available and students are without a teacher. I also was a substitute teacher for the Montgomery County school system 15 years ago, and I can tell you it's a thankless job. Nobody does it for the money, and we should definitely do more to ensure that we're appreciating them for what they do. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Next up is Bob Beard.
Good evening, school board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Dr. Bragan, thank you. My name is Bob Beard. I live here in Christiansburg, and I'm here to kind of speak about Lindsay Rich as well, but Lindsay talked to me, she walks anywhere and meets a lot of folks. I go door knocking for one of the political campaigns, and I go knock on doors and we start conversations. And more, I ask questions about what's important to them. And we were going from the national levels to local levels. And believe it or not, Lindsay Rich is second on my list, on the list of discussions. I've met teachers, I've met coaches, and all of them say the same thing. What you guys did to Lindsay Rich wasn't fair. It wasn't right. You do it behind closed doors and without transparency and especially the need you have for substitute teachers. The teacher said, you guys are dying, you need 200 some substitute teachers, and you deny her the opportunity. You even bring her in and let her start working, and then you send her home. You do all this behind closed doors without addressing and giving her common courtesy of telling her what happened. You guys do this all behind closed door, and it's just, it's disrespectful. You talk about diversity, inclusion, and equity, and that's a farce. You guys are a bunch of liars. You guys you don't believe in that. You say that, but you don't believe in that. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And with that, public address is closed. All right, our next item is consent. If no one wishes to move an item out of consent, we will consider these items approved. Okay. Next up, do I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of the financial summary report for September 2024?
So moved. Second.
Purcell and Ms. Franklin, any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn? Yes. Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Gitche?
Yes.
Ms. Harton? Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the payment of the bills as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Guthrie and Ms. Franklin? Any discussion?
I had a couple questions. On page 10, there's a $50,000 charge for, or payment to Radford City Schools, and I was just wondering what that charge was.
I can get that for you, Dr. Guthrie, off the top of my head. I can't speak to that. I don't know if Ms. Bland is here. I don't see her. Do you know that off the top of your head, Andrew? I'll get that in email to the full board.
Good. He's Dr. Gitche.
Dr. Roundtree, apologize.
And then the other item on the list, $838,000 to DHE Computer Systems.
I would imagine that's for a Chromebook replacement order, but I don't.
That's what I would assume. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Dr. Roundtree.
Thank you, Dr. Bregan. Any other discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn? Yes. Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Gitche?
Yes.
Ms. Harton?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, and that takes us to our business meeting, and we'll start with our report from the superintendent.
Thank you, Chair Hudson. I got a few things to go over. The first is October is Principals Appreciation Month. So we just want to thank our principals for all they do on a daily basis at each of our 20 schools, for their leadership and all that they do for the communities and the students which they serve. So thank you to our principals. November 15th, we'll begin our twice-a-month pay for employees. You heard that referenced here today. I want to again thank all of the people that worked behind the scenes to make this come to fruition. We've talked about this probably since last January or so when we started talking about the possibility of doing this, especially for some of our employees who don't make a great deal of money. It helps them to budget and balance better when they get paid twice a month as opposed to, once per month. And those that were part of those conversations initially, remember everyone kept telling us it's so hard, we can't do it, we need 3, 4 more accountants, we need this, we need that. Well, our people did it without any additional staff under Ms. Bland's leadership down in the Director of Finance Department. So, and payroll and all the work that they've done. So I just want to thank them. And it's going to begin. We get paid at the end of this month, and then beginning November will be the 15th and the 30th of each month. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. Vape detector update. We talked about this a few board meetings ago, and we contacted the company. We wanted to find out how much it would cost. We're going to try to install them as soon as we can at 2 of the high schools that are remaining. We're not going to do Christiansburg High School because it's still under construction. That'll be part of the opening when we do get that fully operational in August of 2026. And we want to do it at the 4 middle schools as well as the other high schools. The initial costs are somewhere around $100,000 for about 110 devices. So we're currently working out the final prices right now and what that implementation will look like and how long that'll take, because the device purchase is one thing. We have to get them installed and wired and all that. So it's not, as Mr. Wickham reminds me on occasion, it's not in a blink of an eye. It just happens. There's some logistics that has to happen behind the scenes that we're going to work on too. But I'll update you as soon as I get those final numbers, and we'll get that ball rolling. A board member asked a few meetings ago about substitute teacher training regarding safety protocols, and I wanted to follow up and just ensure everyone that that does take place. So when our substitute teacher training part of the program is, they are made aware of lockdown and other security procedures, so that should that happen while they are substitute teaching, they will be able to follow our protocols and procedures to keep everyone safe. I do have something that I got the other day, which is really good news from the Virginia Board of Education regarding their awards. Just want to read that to everyone. For the 2024-25 award year, 92 schools from over 2,000 schools in the Commonwealth met the criteria for the highest achievement award. Schools identified for this recognition must meet all the criteria using the 2023-2024 school year data. The schools must be accredited. The school meets the state benchmarks in reading, math, and science based on the current year pass rate on state assessments. All student groups within the school meet the benchmarks in reading and math. Schools demonstrates a current year chronic absentee rate of 15% or lower. For those schools with graduating classes, schools demonstrate a current year graduation and completion rate index of 88 points or more, and schools demonstrate a current year dropout rate of 6% or lower. I'm happy to report that according to this criteria and information, we have 3 schools this year that meet that criteria. Last year we had 1, Auburn High School, Gilbert Lincoln Elementary School, and Harding Avenue Elementary School. So it's a credit to all their staff and their leadership there. What they've been doing is yielding some great results. The last thing I'd like to speak about, we want to congratulate the marketing management class at Christiansburg High School on setting up and executing a plan with WDBJ 7s fired up on Fridays this past week. The students planned competitions and even printed T-shirts for the first 100 students who showed up on Friday night's football game. The CHS school spirit was on full display, and Mr. Gwynn, Ms. Gillum, and Mr. Hunter played significant roles in making this happen. I hope you got a chance to watch it on the news. It was really exciting. They do like a college day for high school sports, and they did a great job, especially on a day when we weren't in school. So kudos to them for all their efforts. I believe that's all I have, Chair Hudson.
Okay. Great, thank you, Dr. Bregan.
So, got one question. So you said the vape detectors weren't going to happen at Christiansburg until the new building was complete?
Yeah, well, just with the construction, Ms. Franklin, while we'll look at if when next year the new addition is going to be fairly completed and the students will move over to the new area while they're renovating the old section. So while I don't want to put them in if they're going to knock down ceilings and tiles and, renovate the rooms and the bathrooms that are currently being in use. As part of that renovation, we will put the vape detectors in. So we won't be able to do that right away.
Because they have to be wired in? Is that what you said?
Yeah, they do have to be wired, and they have to be set up. It's not just like putting, a battery-operated smoke detector in your house. There has to be wiring and all that take place. We can definitely do that, but if we did it this year, let's say we're trying to do the other high schools right now, right, as soon as we can get that done. If we did that at Christiansburg right now, they're going to rip that stuff out when they do the renovation of the existing building. So when they do that renovation, we're going to have them do that as well. Okay.
Follow-up question on that.
Yeah.
If we can get the installation cost and the hardware cost broken out, and what it would be to get things installed at CHS, but then the hardware is still there, you're just transferring it during the remodeling process. We don't have to buy the hardware set twice. But if the installation is a large portion of the cost, then it makes sense to wait.
It's a good point. We could ask that what it would cost if we put them in and then we took them out, right? We renovated and then put them back up. I'll find out. I didn't ask that cost, but we can find out.
Board, any other questions? Okay, great. Do I have a motion to authorize a request to the Board of Supervisors for a capital project transfer of $68,642 to the 2024-25 school operating budget?
Second.
Ms. Purcell and Dr. Roundtree. Any discussion? Dr. Bregan, I was curious about the design for the window replacement project at Montgomery Central. Is that being done independent of the capital efforts that we're already discussing?
Correct. We started that process as we looked at that building. Those windows are, when they did the renovation there a few years ago, including that parking lot in the back and some of those other things, for whatever reason, the windows were excluded from that. So we asked our Director of Facilities, Mr. Harris, to look at and work with the architects to see what that would cost and what that would look like for replacing those windows. because unless we knock down that building and do a total renovation, at some point, those windows need to be upgraded regardless. So if that's something we could do with money that's already in our capital reserve account, we would probably do that before any movement went ahead to, ask the board, well, first ask the school board for approve the projects, then ask the board of supervisors for that large sum of money. We don't envision in that building and the needs and what we want that to look like ultimately to demo it where those windows would be taken out anyway. That's our thought. We didn't get to the installate, like what it would cost to actually do the windows. We're in the design phase now, and then when we get that information, we'll bring it to the school board, and if you all approve it, we'll go out to bid and get that ball moving maybe for the summer.
Okay, great, thank you. Board, any other questions? Okay. Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Guthrie?
Yes.
Ms. Harden?
Yes.
Ms.
Yes.
Purcell? Dr. Lawson?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next up, the administration is requesting the approval of this resolution specifying by title exactly who has been given authorization to determine the authorized signers of the Montgomery County Public Schools Supplemental Local Retirement Plan, SLRP. And this approval is required by Truist every 3 years. This resolution, once executed, will be valid until 2027. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution specifying that the superintendent, assistant superintendent of curriculum and instruction, and the director of human resources are authorized signers of the Montgomery County Public Schools Supplemental Local Retirement Plan?
So moved. Second?
Dr. Roundtree and Ms. Purcell. Any discussion?
Who were the signers on the previous document?
I don't know off the top of my head, Angie, do you know that? I believe the superintendent and HR director, but it might have been the former deputy superintendent.
Good evening. Yes, it was the superintendent, the assistant superintendent of operations, the director of human resources, and the director of elementary education at that time. That was before the creation of the current position that Dr. Wickham is in. And all of those, everyone in those positions are no longer with the district.
Board, any other questions? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Guthrie?
Yes.
Ms. Harden?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next up, policy 7-1.3, our student records, is presented for approval. This policy was originally presented on 8/20/24. Do I have a motion to approve policy 7-1.3 as presented?
So moved.
Second?
Ms. Franklin and Ms. Purcell? Any discussion?
Can I just ask a really quick question? So I know that there was some discussion about the timing. Is there any change between this draft and the draft that was originally presented to address those questions, or?
There wasn't, and the change was made for the retention of special education records from 5 years to 7.
Right.
And that's what that policy represents.
Okay. Because I remember Ms. Franklin had questions about that. I didn't know if there was any change. Okay. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Guthrie?
Yes.
Ms. Harden?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. All right, next up, Dr. Amanda Widener, our Director of Human Resources, will present a proposed revision to the sick leave bank policy, reflecting recommendations from the Sick Leave Bank Committee. The amendment introduces an option for exiting employees who are members of the sick leave bank to donate up to 5 unused sick leave days to the bank. A draft of the revised policy 5-7.5 is being presented for its first reading.
Good evening, Chair Hudson, members of the board, and Dr. Bragan. Having worked with the Sick Bank Committee, that we developed a proposal to amend our current policy 5-7.5, which deals with employee absences, and make a specific amendment as it applies to sick leave bank donation. All right, so the proposal that the Sick Leave Bank Committee, we met earlier this month, and they came to a consensus to propose the following amendment to our policy. Allow employees of MCPS who are members of the sick leave bank, that's one of the criteria, and who are either retiring or resigning after at least 5 years of service to donate up to 5 days of any unused sick leave they might have to the sick leave bank. Under the current policy, there's certain parameters under which sick leave bank members can donate to the bank. The first is upon enrollment. So when an individual enrolls in the sick leave bank, they have the option of donating, they have to donate a minimum of 1 day, but can donate up to 5 days. That's really the only opportunity to donate to the sick leave bank unless there is a mandatory system-wide assessment. The last assessment we had was in April of 2024. Previous to that, we had had assessment in March of 2019. The other option in policy is a transfer of up to 5 sick leave days. Again, this is from one sick leave bank member to another, but that's to a specific member in the sick leave bank when there is a specific need. So again, those are the only opportunities that exist in policy for employees and members of the sick leave bank to donate any unused sick leave days that they have. So our rationale for this proposal is that it would give the opportunity for exiting employees, again, that could be people who are retiring or people who are resigning, who have unused leave, to donate it to the sick leave bank. Our current policy allows employees, when they leave, if they've been with us for at least 5 years, they can get some compensation for their unused sick leave, and the rate is 25% of their daily salary, but there is a cap of $5,000 on that. And that's also available to our retirees. So we do have scenarios where we have employees who get the paid compensation up to $5,000, but they still could have remaining sick leave that could potentially be donated. So the rationale behind this proposal is that would it provide that opportunity. So again, it's just giving an additional meaningful option to our retiring employees and to some of our exiting employees who are members of the sick bank that if there is unused sick leave that they have when they leave, they could give it to the sick leave bank, which would add to the pool of days in the bank, possibly benefiting, providing additional support to that resource. And again, I'll remind you that the sick leave bank is a benefit we offer to employees. It is voluntary to join, but it provides additional support and protection to employees who are facing, either they or their family members are facing serious long-term illness or catastrophic conditions. I'm just going to refer to the policy. One thing, we wanted to be consistent and align our proposal with things that are already in policy. So again, that's our policy on enrollment, so the opportunity to donate up to 5 days. So again, the 5 days, we referenced that here. We also referenced it in the current transfer of sick leave days. Again, members of the sick leave bank can have the opportunity to donate up to 5 days to a specific member of the bank, and there are some parameters there. So that's what's in current policy. So again, we wanted to keep our proposal to make sure that it aligned and was consistent with what is in existing policy. All right, we believe there could be many benefits to this proposed policy change. First of all, it would provide more increased support by means of extra potential days. If we allow our departing employees to donate sick leave when they leave, the bank could have the potential to add more days to it, and that obviously increases support there. It also, like I said, it gives another option. So when sick leave bank members are exiting, in addition to taking advantage of any payout that we can offer, it also just empowers them to make a contribution to their colleagues. And we also think it might create a greater incentive to join the sick leave bank. Current policy only allows donations to the sick leave bank from either enrolling or existing members. So this might encourage people as they're thinking about retirement to join the sick leave bank if they are not currently members, so that they would have the ability to contribute to this. So again, the sick leave bank we feel is a very beneficial opportunity we have for our employees. Many of our employees do take advantage of it, but we'd like to increase participation in it. So we feel that this may actually create one layer of another incentive for people to join the sick leave bank, knowing that it provides an opportunity for unused days, some of those unused days, to be donated. So those are the benefits. What would be the cost to the implementation of this proposal? There would obviously be some administrative costs in terms of the workload to process the additional days. So that's work that would be done through the HR and payroll offices. We do have to be mindful of the possibility of overinflating the sick leave bank. So again, we tried to stick within the parameters that align with current policy, but you know, we did limit it to 5 because according to the IRS, they do allow for donations to leave sharing programs. They are exempt from taxation if that leave is used for medical emergencies. So if we were to overinflate the bank by allowing hundreds of days to be donated every year and those days aren't getting used, there's the possibility. I mean, it's hard to predict what the outcome or the obstacle could be. But our school division does go through a rigorous financial audit every year. And one of the things they look at in that audit is all of our sick leave accrual, and they also look at days in the sick leave bank. And all that information is used to assess what they call our financial fluidity. So again, it's hard to predict what an auditor might say if our sick bank got too big, but we feel like 5 days is in line with our current policy, and it would probably help us keep the pool with existing days, but not overinflated. So that's kind of what days from. So again, we think that this proposed amendment is just another way to show our commitment to employee welfare, to give departing employees a means to give back to and support their peers, and it just overall reinforces a culture of mutual support among our employees and a sense of collective well-being and shared responsibility. And there's a copy of the policy change for you in board docs. That's a very long policy, so if you go down to the part that pertains to sick leave bank and go to the section under transfer of sick leave days, there's a red line item that itemizes that proposed change.
Great, thank you, Dr. Widener. Board, any questions or comments?
I would just like to thank the employee who asked the question, because again, this is something that's going to benefit our employees. So I just really appreciate the work here.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much, appreciate it. Okay, next up, the proposed membership for the Special Education Advisory Committee is presented for the board's approval. You'll remember we saw this at our last meeting, I believe, had some comments. This has gotten sent back to us. Do I have a motion to approve the 2024-25 Special Education Advisory Committee membership and makeup form as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Guthrie and Ms. Parton, any discussion?
Yeah, just for transparency, my spouse, Miss Brandy Lemon, is on this list. My vote is not contingent on her being on this list tonight.
So, you know, I've always raised questions about the makeup of our committees, and everybody works as hard as they can, but I'm just telling you, I believe we can do something different to make this work, and I'm going to be voting no, because I just think we keep doing the same thing and we get the same results. As hard as people work at what they do, we've got to do something different.
Ms. Franklin, one note that I should have provided at the outset here, but we did all receive an email from Heather Brooks, who had planned to be here tonight to speak, and was unavailable. So I'm not sure if everybody's had a chance to read your email. I forget that came in.
Yes, I read it.
while we're in closed session. So outline some of the efforts that they've tried to take there to increase our participation, particularly in certain of our underrepresented districts. So it's not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction, right? So, and there's some suggestions and requests in there as well. So. Board, any other questions or comments?
I just want to thank the committee for trying to. I know volunteers are hard to come by and far and few between. I know people's lives are busy, their schedules are tight, but it's almost, you can't find workers now. You're definitely not going to find people volunteering, especially when there's no compensation. So just the people who do give their time and effort to volunteering for things, it's much appreciated. And again, we're not perfect, but I was one who did vote against it in the beginning, and it wasn't any intention to hold up the policy by any means. But I do think that there needs to be some more fair representation. I keep hearing it from people of my community, but yet I'm not getting some people coming out to represent that as well. So we do what we can and the best we can with what we have, and so it looks like there has been some changes made to it, and there's always room for improvement and everything, but at least this looks like a step toward making things better and with the committees and maybe trying to make things more equal over the board. And like I said, it's never going to be perfect, but we can certainly keep trying and pushing. I know I will continue to work on that process myself. But just a thank you to all the volunteers, because I don't think these people get thanked enough. Because like I said, it's time consuming, and I've done it for years myself, and now it's even harder to find people to do it. So it's a thankless job, and they just need to be recognized and thanked, I do believe. So just wanted to mention that.
I'll just add, I appreciate the efforts that were made to address some of the questions that I had, and I know that I objected and raised questions, and I just want the community to know that I fully support the SEAC, and so my questions should in no way be seen as a lack of support. If anything, I want to raise the visibility of that committee, and I think that these are some important steps, but I agree that others need to be taken, but I want to see the work of that committee move forward. Thank you.
Board, any other comments? Okay, great. Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carries. All right, next up, we have a request from the MCEA, who would like to periodically have time allocated in our meetings to give updates on their efforts, what's going on within the various initiatives that they're pursuing. We reached back out for clarification to try to get more specifics in terms of what that ask was. And so just to be specific, Ms. Seidemann wrote back and said that they would request once a month to be on our agenda for 10 to 15 minutes. So this felt like worthy for us to actually have a discussion and take a vote on that. So that's their ask. We can accept it or deny it. We can put whatever bounds around that we want to. It's our decision.
I would say yes, it's good to get input, and that's part of why we did collective bargaining, so that voices would be heard more readily, and this is a perfect opportunity for that to happen, within limits.
Yes, for discussions, we need to have a motion, right? So I would move to allow the MCEA on the second meeting of the month to have 15 minutes to address the board.
Second.
Continue our discussion.
Okay, I'm going to be voting no for once a month. Our meetings already go till midnight, and it's not that I don't think that the discussion is not imperative and needs to be here. I just don't think it's once a month. I would be willing to entertain once a quarter, but in my opinion, that's the purpose of doing collective bargaining, is so the round table discussion happens at the round table, and then it comes back for us to make the decision. So I feel like that was the whole point of that, and I think if we start here, it's just like other things. Okay, well, then another group's going to be like, okay, well, we want 15 minutes. We want 15 minutes. No disrespect, but, and I feel like I stand that ground on any type thing that we do, because it's a slippery slope. And, you know, we talked about that just a couple months ago with allowing someone to come and speak about something that they have a passion for. And I just think that the next group is going to be like, okay, well, we want our 15 minutes too. So, like I said, I could entertain the idea of once a quarter, but I don't know that I can entertain it once a month.
Kind of naturally going around here. Dr. Guthrie, any comments?
I support the MCA having an opportunity to address the board on a regular basis. As you may recall, one of the early meetings, I actually tried to ask a question of the MCA in one of our meetings. And so to Ms. Bond's point about of the slippery slope, I think offering them the opportunity doesn't mean that they necessarily will be addressing us at those opportunities. I think some sort of formal agreement that allows them to actually do that would be important for us. Because I understand that we have to negotiate ourselves on agenda items, as we can't just carve out time for ourselves as individual board members, and I appreciate that. So, I mean, there could be some negotiation, but I definitely think that we should be hearing from the MCA because they represent our employees.
So I would like to hear from the MCEA as well and get updates. However, I do agree with Ms. Bond on the fact that that's why we set up that bargaining table the way we did, with them bringing it to a table of administrative and then it being discussed and then it being brought to us. I do feel like our meetings are getting extremely long, and we have things going on before meetings and after meetings now. We're having to get here earlier and go home later. I always welcome information, and I care about our employees and our staff, or I wouldn't be sitting in this seat, and our students. There are other ways to get the board information. I do believe the MCEA sends out updates to staff and faculty through email. They're more than welcome to send that along to board members. I read emails. I would love to get information through email. I would love to hear from them personally. I just maybe think we may not need to do it every month. Maybe Ms. Bond said quarterly, maybe every other month or something at a business meeting. I think we need to kind of look at our agenda and kind of see where we can fit them in. I'm not telling them they can't get up and let us know what's going on in person, but you know, I do know there's other ways to communicate information, and the way we have things set up through the round table with them to get back to us. And I'm always one communicating, asking for more information. Again, no disrespect, would love to hear what's going on. I do know that information goes out to MCEA members and maybe others who aren't via email and other ways, which we could obtain as well. If they would like to send that to us, I would love to see it, to kind of keep us in the loop. But maybe not every month, but I would certainly welcome the information on maybe a less frequent basis, and pending on what what our schedule is looking like. But yes, I would definitely like to hear from them and get more information, absolutely.
We've had presentations of quite varying lengths this year since I've been a member of the board. Is there guidance that's given to presenters about length?
We try to tell them to keep it concise. You know, sometimes we do give parameters, and not everyone adheres to it, which puts us in that difficult position of saying, you know, that's enough right now. And especially if it's important information that we want them to share or the board wants to hear. So, you know, usually during agenda prep, we do talk about presentations and what we estimate they will take, and we share that with the presenters, whoever they may be. Some do a really good job of adhering to it, and sometimes they don't.
Thank you for that context. Even a 15-minute presentation is a pretty long presentation, and I want to make sure they have full attention to whatever needs to be said. So not necessarily to limit their needs, but if they really feel like they need 15 minutes every month, that seems like a lot. That's a lot of time. So what are they not sharing with us in other ways? Is my question. Perhaps I'll get an email or a text explaining that here imminently. I'm in agreement with Ms. Parton that maybe every other month is as needed, but if there is a super pressing issue, then they would have the authority to request to the superintendent and the board chair to get on an agenda. But I do support the idea.
And to clarify my comments earlier, doing agenda prep as vice chair really helps you to see how many items is on the chair's list that get pushed back and pushed back and pushed back, and that are concerns of everyone's. And that's where I'm coming from with that. And, you know, it's like, okay, well, we've already got 15 things on the list, so, you know, we're going to have to push this. This isn't as, we can move that to the next one. Okay, so we've got 10 on this one. Well, let's move that one. I mean, that's how it is every week. And we got here tonight at 5 o'clock, and we'll be lucky if we get out by midnight. That's a long time, you know, and that happens all the time. It's not just every now and then. And I just think that's unfair to our staff, unfair to us that work the next day early. So that's explanations to my comments earlier.
Dr. Roundtree or Ms. Franklin, any other comments since John made the motion in a second?
Yeah, so currently the suggestions are quarterly, bi-monthly, or once every 2 months. Nobody suggested anything about, well, Laura kind of did, about reducing the 15 minutes to maybe 10 minutes, which I would be okay with reducing it to 10 minutes as well.
In fairness, they asked for 10 to 15, so.
Oh,
you
10 to 15.
10 to 15, yeah.
I was thinking 10 or 15.
But I forget exactly what the motion was. If it was up to 15 minutes, then that gives some flexibility, but.
Yeah,
you can
I said 15, but,
Yep.
yeah, and I also said the second meeting of the month, because that meeting tends to be the shorter of the two meetings. Additionally, we would probably want to work with them a little bit on that, because if we did that, say we vote on it today and pass it, they're not talking to us until January, because there is no second meeting in November or December. Typically, we might just let that slide in years to come. I think you would want to have at least one during that time period if you're doing monthly, if we vote on it tonight. But it's, what, second meetings for months, we have maybe 8 of them per year, 7 or 8. It's not all that many more. That's my 2 cents.
I could agree to bi-monthly, up to 15 minutes. but I think it's very important. So when we talked about individuals wanting to come and speak to the board, that's a different situation than having the MCEA come and speak to us. And as far as that roundtable, that is more around bargaining. I think there's a monthly meeting with the superintendent each month, but having a conversation with the board, I believe, is important. So I can, if you're going to change your motion, I would agree with that since I'm the second.
If someone wants to offer a friendly amendment to Dr. Roundtree's motion, now would be a good time to do so.
I think I have to offer it, right? So I will amend my motion to 15 minutes every 2 months for the MCEA to present to us.
Would you consider making that 10 minutes every 2 months?
Sure, 10 minutes every 2 months.
Okay. Well, they said all they want's 5. They said all they want's 5. No, that's what they just said.
I can't see them, so that was Ed. Okay.
You may or may not
If
have gotten confirmation.
Jim, you're asking for their input in the middle of the
Right.
meeting?
If they don't have enough to fill that period of time, that's, I won't say that's great, but okay. But I think trying to limit it to 15 minutes every 2 months, I think that's plenty.
So just to get us back on track, so Dr. Roundtree tried to offer an amendment, and Ms. Franklin disagreed. Dr. Roundtree, do you accept her compromise?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Franklin, do you accept your compromise?
And that would be up to 15 minutes every other month.
Correct.
Okay.
And no stipulation on the first or second meeting, so that gives us flexibility as we're deciding the agenda if we want to do first or second.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, we have an amended amendment and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Franklin?
Yes.
Dr. Getchell?
Yes.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. Great job compromising there, board. That was awesome. All right, that brings us up to our unfinished business portion of our meeting. Are there any items of unfinished business?
There's one thing that I wanted to ask about. We had in our presentation, our last meeting, about our test results, and I had asked about setting benchmarks, and I got a feeling that there might have been support for that among some of the board members, but I was reflecting on it afterwards, and it was kind of very nebulous whether there was board support. And so one of the things I wanted to ask the board, if there is support for creating some sort of benchmarks, and that can happen in a few different ways. It could be that the administration does that on its own. It could be that the board works with the administration. But I did want to get a little bit of clarity to see if there was support for that. Because I feel like if there's nothing to strive for if there is no benchmark. Now, we just saw that we've moved from one school to 3 schools, having achieved recognition for progress. Why not set a higher bar next year? And how do you do that? Well, by creating benchmarks. And so I just wanted to see if there was support on the board for doing something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and along with that, initiatives to meet the benchmarks would be beneficial as well.
You get a yes from me.
head nods and yeses on that. Any concerns, any?
No, we were working under that premise anyway, putting together that information. You know, we have stuff that we currently do for our school improvement plans for those that didn't meet the progress that we wanted to, but that typically we haven't shared with the school board, and we haven't had, you know, those metrics put for the benchmarks if we want to increase our performance this many percentage points or reduce failure rates this much. I think it's a great idea. I think, Dr. Gitry, you also shared about having some type of like annual report, summary of the data, that we're working on that too, to make it, you know, otherwise it's just data. It doesn't really have the reference points. It's hard to understand and compare to last year, compare to previous years, break it down by categories and student groups. So we're looking to do that, put together a summary and for lack of a better word, like an annual report on assessment data. Included within that would be goals. And we can talk as we develop that. If that makes sense to all of you, that's what I had heard, and we were kind of running with.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
But-
Appreciate it.
Also by school and by grade level?
Yes.
Great.
So I brought up hate speech, and that we had gotten an opinion from an attorney again, and where we were with this, because we're now headed into November, and we haven't gotten anything back on where we're at.
Want me to weigh in on that, Board Chair?
Sure, go ahead.
The Board Chair asked me to reach out to the Board Attorney to see if he could participate. You know, right now, Mr. King is not operating that capacity, but Mr. Sellerman is. And if he could participate virtually via Zoom in our next meeting, a closed session, to discuss what he had shared and what some of the reservations they had about that. So we set that up. I don't think I shared that with you yet, Board Chair, for the next meeting on November 5th, I believe it is. And then we'll go from there. I still have feedback from other community members and other groups that offered advice on how, you know, look at the policy and its tweaks that they would put in. I will bring that back after we have that conversation and go from there.
So that'll give us a chance to ask him questions and understand his concerns and see where we.
They always have concerns and whatever. We need to think about what's best for Montgomery County, because I get tired of their opinions sometimes. And their concerns, they just cover themselves, just put it that way.
I don't disagree, and I rarely do I speak in favor of attorneys, but the thing that I share with the Board Chair is that we asked the Board Attorney to look at the advice, and the Board Attorney's sole job is to protect the school board for liability, and not the superintendent, and his advice was against what I was proposing. So for me to move forward, I would want to have that discussion with the full board, because I think that's in my personal best interest, but the attorney believes it's in the best interest of, what he believes is in the best interest of the school board to protect them. I think you all have to weigh in on that and either give me explicit direction that could be against the attorney's advice, which is fine with me, but I would rather you all do that together. For me, that was my reservation.
Fair.
I'll just say again, if we always follow what the board attorneys tell us, we would just be in a bubble, in an egg, and not spread our wings to do something different to make sure our students are being served.
Any other items of unfinished business? Okay. Are there any items of new business?
I have something, I think this is the right place to mention it. I want to thank the division for supporting me. I took a training through VSBA last week about the budget process for school divisions, which was very interesting. And one thing that really stood out to me was the facilitator shared an example of the financial summary report from another division from Williamsburg, James County, and it just arranged the financial information in a more graphically pleasing way, and it also demonstrated kind of how the annual budget is aligning with our monthly expenditures. And I would like the board to consider maybe asking if we could have a financial summary that looks more like that one. Those are available through board docs from Williamsburg, James City county, but I sent an example to the chair, Dr. Bragan, and Tosh, who could distribute it if anyone just wanted to see the example.
It's great. I mean, we'll present the data anyway. That's, best suited for the school board. We'll take a look at that. I didn't look at that yet.
I just have,
I'm sorry, just to follow up on that. Certainly any suggestion around that, I would want our financial director to just review and see if, in terms of the amount of effort to kind of convert into a different format. I know getting what we got now took a fair amount of effort, but maybe in that process, things got a little bit easier and formatting might be easier now. So, yeah, I'm all for making it easier to digest for sure.
I just have a really quick request, not for an answer right now, but I was thinking about a discussion we had quite a while ago about CTE and emergency services and providing training, and I believe that there was a consensus on the board on that to ask for a review, and we haven't heard anything about that in a while, and I just would like to make a request for an update to see if that process is ongoing or where we are. You don't have to address that right now, but it's just something that came to mind. I think it's technically new business.
We'll get that update.
Okay, so I have an item. So we received an email about the building that says Corps of Cadets, but it's actually Friends Elementary School. And with the request for funds for Montgomery Central, I would like to know what the plans are for that building, because it is just looking worse and worse and worse. This is a historical building, it is the last building, I believe, in Montgomery County from the era of segregation that is still in use and still able to be used. And I would hope we would not just let that building go. The CI campus was just picked apart and still has not recovered from any of that despite efforts. So we have this building and we need to preserve that building. And it needs to be named what it is, Friends Elementary.
I just became aware of that history a short while ago in talking to some members of the community, that the history that building has. Currently, it's not part of any plans for demo or not use or to put aside, but that's something we definitely have to look at. And if that was something that the board wanted to do, we could definitely look at that. I don't know what that would entail as far as preservation and things like that, the legalities. I don't know any of that. I'd have to find out. But it would short-term mean moving the Corps of Cadets somewhere else, which we could look at doing that as well. I became aware of that a little while ago, that the historical perspective from that building. So, again, it's something we could talk about as another agenda item moving forward, and you all give me direction on how you want to do that. Right now, that's not part of any renovation, as far as I'm aware of, or anything at Mont Central or changing anything. It's just there right now. So that's probably something we should look at anyway moving forward.
Can I ask Ms. Franklin a question? Is that the Friends School, is that the one that was integrated?
Segregated.
It was segregated?
Yes,
Okay,
that's
sorry.
where I did my first and second year. Yeah.
You want to share any, is there a reason why you want to see that building preserved?
Because it's historic and it's still viable. This is the last that I'm aware of in Montgomery County that is part of the segregation era. And we shouldn't just trash that. We shouldn't just let that go. This is history, part of Montgomery County history. And like I said, the CI campus was just picked apart, and it was disgraceful what happened with that land and that campus over there. And to let this building just deteriorate in front of us and have folks in the community think it is such an eyesore, because right now it is, and it shouldn't be. This is our property and has been a part of Montgomery County for decades, ever since the Friends Association turned things over to Montgomery County. public schools. And in the very early conversations about the possibility of renovating or building a new Christiansburg High School, that was part of the discussion, but it never moved forward into anything as far as what it would do because of the different plans. Because if we did a new building, it would have maybe moved closer and that building would have gone away because you would have needed that land for new construction while the other building was still being used. But we can't just let that building deteriorate. This is history, and it has to be preserved.
I was thinking that there, in the beginning was talk about like redoing the windows and things like that. Do you not remember, wasn't there a
Yes.
conversation with that?
We could look into all that, just, you know, since I've been here, that no one has shared that with me until very recently, that I even knew what that building had been before. Some of the history there with, you know, the Friends School and the Quakers that initially came down and took over that property. I just got aware of it, so when I came on, we were doing, the renovation was, the process was just beginning at Christiansburg High School, and we changed the process there to go out to a formal bid and do all that. At no point did that come up, so I'm glad it's coming up now, because there's an opportunity for us to do something.
So, it sounded like you were suggesting to have it used for the Christiansburg High School still, potentially, but Reagan was, unless I'm mistaken, you talked about moving the core out of it. Well, so preserving it historically, totally agree with, what's the idea of what it's being turned into? Is it going to stay a Corps of Cadets building that is renamed for the Friends School, or is it going to become a museum? Just what's the idea?
So right now, tonight, I don't have an idea.
Okay.
Because that building has been used for several different things. I spent my first and second year in that building, and then again in the 6th grade, went back to that building because of overcrowding and not having the new high school under construction, even at that point. Then it became technology, independent secondary, now the Corps of Cadets. So the building has been used constantly since, well, I won't say since it was empty, but at least by the time I got to 6th grade, the building was being used again. And it's been used for one thing or the other since then. So to just let it deteriorate, for many reasons, it should not happen. The biggest one being historic, because there's always something we can use some space for.
Yeah, I'm all for preserving it and getting it to be a historic landmark. And then proposals as to what do we use the space for? Is it educational purposes for history, or do we utilize it for the school system in some other way?
Board, any other items of new business? Okay, great. Student reps, I realize I haven't really had much of a chance to call on y'all tonight. Any comments on anything before we get wrapped up here?
I like her idea about preserving the building, and just to clarify, it's the building that's like right there beside Christiansburg High School, right?
Around the corner.
Yeah. Okay, so since it was elementary in the historic purpose of it, what if like you incorporated it with the new school and use it towards like the class that they have for where they like work with like the kids in the morning, and like bring like that history back into it like a little bit, since it's like, and then you can like put up like different things to represent like the history of it. You can give like, put the name back on the building, and the kids could get like dropped off there in the morning and get taken care of, and then use that for educational purposes as well.
Any other thoughts or comments? Okay, awesome. All right, are there any announcements or additional information for the board to share?
Yeah, just responding to earlier, I'd like to thank the finance team for getting the twice-a-month payroll completed. That's going to be huge for many of our employees. And also, I'd like to thank the administration for moving forward with getting vape detector installations in our school systems as quickly as possible.
And I would like to thank the board and everyone at MCPS who helped support me during the loss of my mother. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, board. All right, our agenda prep is available for upcoming meetings. We'll be back in November. Lost my place here. You see the, come on, reload. Yep, our next meeting will be on November 5th. Back on the dais. All right. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session as authorized by Section 2-3711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss a personnel matter and 2 student matters?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Purcell and Dr. Roundtree, any discussion? Ms. Osborne, please call the roll.
Ms. Vaughn? Yes. Ms. Bacon? Yes. Dr. Dietrich?
Yes.
Ms. Harden?
Yes.
Ms. Purcell?
Yes.
Dr. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
7 in favor.
Motion carries. We are in closed session. Great job.